Somebody else wants you to do what God has called you to do. In all thy ways, seek his face, seek his anointing, because God is getting ready to move in your life like never before. God has showed me many things, and I know he's been showing and speaking to you too. But I promise you, when you start to pray and you are intentional and you make it personal, God is getting ready to remove so many things out of your way, so many stepping stones out of your way. You're worried about the people talking about you. You're worried about the people, your naysayers. You're worried about people that won't support you. You're worried about people that won't give you a spot on their platform. You're worried about people that won't sign the contract with you. You're worried about people that won't help you. Guess what? They don't need to be there, because this is yours. That's not intended for you. You are intended to walk and sign with whomever. Because y'all, in this season, if you are a church girl CEO and you are in business, everybody can't be on your roster. Everybody can't be your client. Everybody can't be who you are called to be, called to. Because you have got to step out and be the anointed one. Because when we say that we are anointed, we are sanctified. That sanctification is really what you need to start thinking about, because sanctification means that you are set apart, and you have got to be set apart in this season. Yes, I know that we are trying to do different things. We are trying to increase our finances, increase our relationships, increase where we are. But you have got to set that standard and start living by that standard, and don't give up. This is not your season to give up. This is not your season to shut down. This is not your season to sit up and act like you're not doing anything. You have got to start walking out on the promises. You're going to have to be like Peter, walk on the water. And if you start to sing, because you know whose you are and who you are, you already know who to call on to get you out of it, because you have got to start calling on the name of Jesus to get your power. Y'all, before you go into that meeting, you need to have your own prayer meeting. Before you go into that session, you have got to have your own prayer meeting. Before you sign that contract, you have got to go and have your own meeting. And if you're not feeling right, you better excuse yourself. Go to that bathroom and start talking to your Heavenly Father. Because sometimes in those meetings, you do have to go out and regroup yourself, because you don't know what devil is sitting in there. And you got to make sure that you have the right word to calm that thing down. So y'all, I promise you, like I've said before, this is not your season to speak anything or pray for anything that you're not expecting God to move on, because you have got to be ready, and you have got to start looking for it, and you have got to increase your spirit of expectation, because you are called for this, you are ordained for this, you are ready for this, and you have got to start walking in your power. Don't let anybody see you with your head hung down, because y'all, you cannot be that person today. You cannot be that person that is walking around in doubt and walking around in not supporting other people. You have got to be who God has called you to be. Because if you are a church girl, CEO, start acting like it. Start acting like it. Because we have a different standard that we have to live by. We have a different standard that we have to operate by. And I know what you're saying. They don't know that I'm a church girl when I'm in the business space. Maybe that's why you haven't seen the success that you wanted, because they don't know. And you live in a double life. And the only reason why I can call you out, because I'm guilty. I'm guilty, card carrying, double life syndrome. But I have been delivered from the double life. I have been delivered for hiding that part of me. And I want you to know that once you start to let God really move in your life, and really start letting God be your partner in your business, and let him really be the CEO of your business, you're going to start seeing things change. You're going to start seeing yourself going through things like, okay, I've been there, done that. I know I need to pray. God, open up the door. God, give me the finances. God, give me who I need to be with. God, show me who I need to connect with. God, show me what project I need to work on. God, show me where I need to be. Because when you sit down and you really think about where God is taking you and what God is doing for you, You're going to see things change like never before, because God is getting ready to move in your life. God is getting ready to show you like never before what he's doing for you. And you have got to put yourself in that place. You have got to show up and do what God has told you to do. Because when I tell you, I declare, no, exactly what I did. I declare and decree that it is done and it shall be done. And you are going to walk in your divine purpose. And you are going to do what God has told you to do. Because y'all, when God begins to show up and show out in your life, I'm working on a project right now. And I just told somebody, y'all, this project gonna be the best project ever. Because I want to see our project in the airport, in the bookstore, in the airport. I want us to be where people are traveling and see this book all over the place. I want us to be that we can share the good news from church girl CEOs, and so that way other people can be able to see that that just because you're a church girl, that you can have power, that you can be anointed, and that you can be ready to move in this space and get ready to be able to walk in your calling and in your anointing, because you are not going to be stuck in that place. You are not going to be stuck in that place, because God has brought you here for a reason. God has brought you here for a reason. But what you need to do is that you have got to identify it and be intentional about what you are doing. Be intentional, make it personal, and you are going to see God move like never before. So, guys, if nothing else, if I can't motivate you to be nothing else today, but be who God has called you to be, and be who God has anointed you to be, and just start speaking what you want in the atmosphere. Because this is the season for manifestation. This is the season for your anointing to just fall like never before. Well, all right, guys, I love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. But it is that time. It is time for us to call on our special guest. And y'all, tonight I have someone that's just so dynamic. It just totally messed me up. I was reading her bio, I got excited. Her name is Cortne Lee Smith. She is a relationship coach, and she deals with grief. She deals, I'm just messed up. I can't wait to talk to her. I can't wait, y'all. Y'all already know I got some relationship questions, because I ain't the one, baby, but we're getting ready to bring our on, and we got to bring her on, and just think it's getting ready to come up. Yes, Lord. Let's see. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? How are
Hello.
you tonight?
Good, good,
It is so good to have you on tonight. Welcome to Conversations.
good. Yes, I'm excited.
Well, for those people that don't know who you are, can you share with our audience who you are?
Who am I? Well, I'm gonna share just a little bit, but I am the co-owner, because I own with my husband, the relationship service station, and it is really about getting people to have their best relationship. A lot of times we forget about the best on our journey. We always talking about our greater will be later, but we ain't doing nothing about having our best right now. Our best right now. So we're trying to encourage people to live their best now in their relationships, because later is not always guaranteed. So if you all don't know a little bit about me, I married a widower and I was widowed. So that's how we know that you can't wait for later for all things. There is not a guarantee. So our niche is really talking to people who have lost relationship death. That's our thing. Whether, and people think about relationship death as only as people who are grieving because they buried a spouse, but some people buried a spouse actually in a divorce. Some people buried a spouse in a separation, and they still don't know how to deal with those emotions, and they carry them from relationship to relationship. Dead bodies, dead emotions. So they're not really living because they got all this dead weight on them. And so that is our goal, is to relieve people, to be free of that, all those emotions. So I'm enjoying this second chance at life, what we call our love after love walk.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, before we go on, and we got some people that came that made some comments, and I just wanted to go ahead and bring their notes up. Amelia, hello. Thank you for joining us. Thank you
Hello,
for
hello.
joining us. Tamisha, I know that's right. She said, Amen. I'm not going to be stuck in this place. Yes, Lord, we are not going to be.
Woo.
We are coming out together, honey. And I'm just on fire tonight. I don't even know. I was like, God, I didn't even know how this intro was gonna do. I was like, I'm just like, I got to just thank God for where I am. So how do you feel when God reveals, starts to manifest things in your life?
Ooh, well, sometimes, well, I'm going to say personally, I'm not going to say for other people. My manifestation came through experience, because sometimes we're a little disobedient in the manifestation when he just speak it. So sometimes he has to drag you through the experience so that way you can look back and say, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be going, because God had to drag me there through my own experience. And so when that came about, it really started being a voice on a radio show. I was going to be really hidden, not have to talk to people except on last Tuesdays. And God, as always, he says, I need you to do a little bit more. I need you to do a little bit more. And so that's how that always happens. So it's a little bit more said, okay, now, it's more to grieving than talking one day out the month. So he was like, you're going to start talking to people every day. And I was like, every day? That's like a job, God. So, and that's when you say, okay, this is my assignment. So I talk to people 365 days. I actually send out a free message. Free. That's why it's ministry, y'all. That part is free. I send out a free message to people to learn how to thrive, because we are in this survival mentality here in society now. Well, we always like to say, I'm just good. But I don't want people to be just left at good. I want people to be thriving, because that's what God said he had put us here to actually be thrivers. It don't say nowhere in the word about just survive. He put us here to live our life full and abundant, and that full and abundance is us thriving. But we get stuck in a place, okay, I'm good, I'm just good, and God wants more than that for us. And that's what his assignment was for me, to actually speak people through this journey so that they can see him through me. I don't want people to become crutched on me, like they got to talk to me every day or have me push them through anything. All I do is every day send out a word, which is through God. And sometimes people will text me back and say, well, how did you know I was going through that? Because God told me to tell you this today. This is my assignment. This is where I have to be. And that's how it has manifested. And every time I say, okay, God, what is this? And he said, well, I got another assignment for you. So I'd be like, one more?
And that's amazing how you said that, God puts us on assignments. And sometimes our assignments don't look like what we think they ought to look like. And
No.
that always messes me up, because you be like, wait a minute. Now I prayed about this, but you making me do this, or you done took it to another level, because
Yeah.
that's the one that messes me up, because like, oh, I just wanted a cookie. And then the next thing you know, God done gave you the cookie, the milk, a sandwich, and some chips. And you like, woohoo! You're rolling.
Yes, and I gotta digest all of this.
Just gave me a whole meal. And I just
Yeah.
wanted a cookie. But and I think that's what our expectation level of God has got to change. And I want to jump right on into the whole grief specialist piece.
Okay.
Because as a community, and as our community, do you feel like we grieve more than we should. And I know grief doesn't have a time limit, but as a people, do you think we hold on to the death situation or grieving a little longer than normal sometimes that may not even be healthy?
I think the key that you said is not healthy. You're going to grieve for the rest of your life.
Right.
I just want people to understand that, because there are going to be things that trigger it. Even though I got remarried, there are things that still remind me of my previous husband. But it's how you react to those things that actually say that I am grieving appropriately. But when somebody is still to the point that they feel like they got all of these emotions bottled up and they don't know what to do with them, and it's causing them eternal issues. And that's
Mm.
why I say it's an inside job, grief, because we got to get control of our mind, we got to get control of our heart, and then we got to get control of how we respond in this whole grief space. I don't really think is we do too long. We just don't do appropriately for any period of time. And that is what it is. I like to have a healthy grief conversation with people, because a lot of people say, okay, well, if I go through these 8 steps, I'm good at the end of the steps. Grief is not a stepping stone, because the problem is you're going to step to the top, and then something at the top is going to remind you. And if you haven't actually processed, got a good strategy in place, you're going to respond the same way at the top of the stairs that you did at the bottom of the stairs. So if you don't have something in place that actually creates a positive atmosphere, none of that grief changes. And I think we haven't been taught that it's okay to let things out and to let
Mm.
things be heard. We've been told, keep it in, don't cry in public, don't talk about that, because everybody got that issue. Well, everybody don't, because everybody didn't have that same relationship. Grief is different and unique for each one of us, even though we might have lost the same label person. We did not have the same relationship. We might not have been married as long. We might not have had the same intimacy. We did not have the same relationship. So we cannot say, oh, I know how you feel. And that's where we go wrong. I'm going to tell you how it should look. No, I cannot tell you that. What I tell you is there are these strategies that if you put them in place, and God give us all strategies, He downloads them if we listen. If we
Mhm.
listen. But the problem is we get in our way, and the thing is we get caught in why me? Why now? And when we do that, we can never hear God's will and God's way beyond that loss that we have experienced. And we get stuck in the loss.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're alive and we stuck in this place called loss.
And
And that's where we get.
maybe that's what I was more leaning towards is the lost part, because I get it. I mean, I get it because I lost my father when I was 29. That's the only thing I can kind of relate the grief thing to, where I still get triggers. But it's not like I'm walking around and I know people that have lost parents and they are out of it. I'm talking like they can't even function, or lost loved ones, and it's like you really don't know how to console them or be there for them. What is your advice to that? Especially not saying, "Oh, I know how you feel, child." You know what? No, you really don't. But how do you console that person?
In the beginning, you have to find that open door. Everybody gives you an open door. And that's why you have to be really in tune to the Holy Spirit, because everybody gives you a little opening. Some people will open up the door real big and wide for you to walk in on them. Some people just only give you that pinhole. But when they give it to you, that's when you swoop in and really just encourage them in that little bit of space. And when you can encourage them in that little bit of space, that turns on a little light of hope. And that's really the first thing that people got to see. Okay, if I can have hope beyond this situation. Now, some people like to carry that baggage along because they want to be a victim. Now, I'm gonna just be real. We got people who want to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
victims,
yeah, yeah.
But the thing is, if we all sit down and have a conversation with God, He might not answer the why it happened, but He will give you the what is next. He will give you the what is next. And then He will tell you how to get to the what is next. And that's why I say, if you find that little bitty hole or window with somebody to give them an encouraging word, and then they say something intelligent back to you. That's the key. If they can say something intelligent back to you, that is when you know that that has actually penetrated through them. Because of course you're going to have people who are going to lash out and say, you have no idea how I'm feeling, you don't know what I'm going through. But then that's when you say, tell me.
Right.
Tell me. And once they are able to really tell the story, and I think that's the problem with people who have gotten to the point that they can't move past the loss, they've never really spoke about it.
Wow.
They've never really spoke about it. Um, I can tell you, I was actually at an event, and I realized I had not actually spoken about a part of my husband's death, and it was the first time I had spoke about it was actually when I was at a speaking event.
Wow.
And I mean, it made me cry. So I was crying probably more than the people who came to listen to me. So it was a relieving, because you don't realize the things that you have blocked in your own mind that you don't want to have a conversation with people about. And that is what has gotten you stuck, whether it's regret, whether it's, something you're not able to have a conversation with that person about. When you actually begin and start venting it, it gives you the freedom to move to different areas there. And since they're not able to vent it and let it go and have their story heard, and sometimes they believe people just don't care and don't want to hear. So if you give them that opportunity when they say you don't understand and you don't care, and most of the time we don't give people the time of day because we be like, girl, you've been talking about this too long. I don't want to hear about it. But the moment that somebody say, tell me the whole story. Tell me from the beginning to the end. Tell me what's really going on, what you really missing. And that's what I sit and listen to people do. I listen to the whole story.
Hmm.
And then God gives me the ability to say, okay, I heard 5 emotions. Even though you say it's about the loss, it's really about your regret. It's really about, what it's other emotions bottled up in that. And then when you begin to address those, you really set people free. So, because you identify what type of relationship they had with that individual person. Some people are holding on because they think that other people are going to feel like they didn't love that person enough if they don't act a certain way after a person is moves and transitions out of this world. We've become so robotic
Right.
in our emotions that we think we have to act like everybody else when somebody else passes. But that is not how you are supposed to be. Be true to your own emotions. Be true to yourself when grief happens. And don't worry about what other people think. If you feel like you need to go have a party because you need to do that, that's what you need to do. Whatever it is, because for you, you might be celebrating that individual it does not have to be in any more pain. And you ain't
And
got to tell
right,
nobody else that.
right.
Whatever it is that you need to do.
Because you know what that sounds like to me is that you got to be honest with yourself. You
Yes.
can't be worried about other people's impression of you or the thought about
Mhm.
you. You got to do you in that time. But the only thing, okay, now I'm sorry. I'm real silly, and I know I'm silly, and I'm getting ready to
That's
say
okay.
something silly, and I can't help it. You know what tickles me the most when we go to our funerals? I ain't been to nobody else's funerals, so I will always tickle me is that one person, oh, take me, you should have took me instead of them, or they trying to jump into the casket. That like tickles me all the time. How do you deal with those attention seekers?
First, you start off by giving them the attention that they really, really want. But you answer those questions that they just came. Do you really want to get in that box?
Mm.
If God really gave you that option today, would would you really make that change?
I did say that before. Yeah, I did. I did. We got some comments. Charlene said, so some people might be suffering from survivor's remorse.
Um, yes, depending on if they were involved in the accident or they were there and it was like, why didn't I? go instead of them. But a lot of times when we begin to question that, that is, and I'm gonna say this: if you on this call and you on this line, that means you say you're a believer.
Ooh.
So if you saying you a believer, that means you believe in all of God's decisions for your life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the thing is, yes, survivor's remorse is real, but the thing is, that's where you need to express what's really going on. I am wishing that I had went with them, but you're not wishing that you died instead of them. Most
Mm-hmm.
people are. What it is I don't want to be here alone, most people are saying, or I don't know how to move on without you because of that. You really want to live now. I don't know of any individual that says, and besides people who commit suicide, and honestly, that was a cry for help too. If you really dig into
Right.
suicide, nobody actually wants it to go through. They want God to show up.
Right.
That's what we're asking. We're in a desperate place asking for God to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And survivor's remorse is really what Charlene said I did. What does I did mean?
That's what that's why I popped it up. What does I did mean, Charlene? Can you share with us what you mean? And then she also know I miss my sister. Okay. Do you miss her as far as being that you wish you had went before her with her, or that you just missed her, or I'm if you could clarify that.
Yeah, because see, missing somebody means that you wish they were alive and with you. Usually, I miss you don't mean I went with you. Because usually, when people don't understand, I go with you, that relationship is still not carrying on.
Right.
That's where we miss out on that. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We wait until I bring it up, so that means you're still not going to have that communication in the relationship you had. What we miss this earthly body, this flesh communing the way that it did when that person was here, and you're never going to stop doing that. So that's not now. I'm not going to lie to people and say, oh, you just stop missing somebody. No, you
No.
don't. Just like you're talking about your father, you don't stop missing them. What you do is take them, those memories, and use them in a positive way versus using them to hold you down and hold you back. You say, okay, my father loved this about me. Let me laugh more. My father wanted to push me to do this. So let me do this. So we do use it. So if you miss your sister, think about those memories that you and your sister had together, and build on those. Build on those. Build on those. Don't allow those memories to say, okay, well, I don't have her here to do this. You do. You have her in your heart. You have her in your spirit. And she is here with you, whatever it is that she left with you. She left something with you. So carry it with you everywhere that you go in a positive way. Don't carry it with you as a baggage. And I think that's where we get lost. We carry it as a burden when we carry people with us. And sometimes it will, throw you back. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes, you will see something, you will hear something, and you'll be like, man, I remember when.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you a particular incident for myself. My daughter had a child last year, Mother's Day, but her doctor's appointments were in the same building that I had to take my husband for his oncology to get his chemo.
Wow.
It was in
Wow.
the same building. And I mean, the moment I went through the loop, the memory hit me. Was like, I have been coming to this place, and this place, does it represent death or does it represent the new birth that's coming? So I had to know that I had to label that place someplace new in order to walk in that building. But the key was I got to go up to another floor. And that's what we got to realize when we go someplace. Are you ready to go up to the next level? Are you ready to stay stuck right there? And most of us stay stuck on that first floor, that chemo level where everybody's dying and we're grieving with them and we're empathetic with them. But we can't go up to the next level where God is still birthing people. God is still giving us a second chance in life. So that's where we got to see, okay, there is something that your sister left and it's still being birthed here on the earth. Find it, help
Yeah,
push it through.
And that's what she said. I didn't want to die, but I wanted my mother to have her, and asked God, why was I still here? Then God revealed I had more to do. Awesome. And then she stated, transform your mind. Most definitely.
Yes,
Transform your
yes,
mind.
yes. Amen to that. Yes, yes, yes. That
Yes,
is it. It has to be a mentality that I cannot get stuck here. And that's wonderful you said that, because my first 30 days of this year in January was about the mind, about shifting our mind, because no matter what else you do, it becomes really just fake action if your
exactly.
mind isn't in it. If your mind isn't in it, it becomes fake action. That's kind of saying I'm a believer, but nothing I do is within faith. It's just I don't really believe. I'm just kind of just getting up every day. And so as believers, we put it all together. We got to put on the whole armor. And if you're not getting up every day as a believer, putting on the whole armor of God, that means you're not really walking in full belief.
You about to make me run through here. You hear what I say? Because
All right,
just sharing that with somebody I was talking about, that as believers we praying about stuff, we pray about stuff, we want God to do it, but then we don't believe it. So how can we sit up here and do that? Because that's what, my God, that's crazy. Oh, Tamisha said, Brother Franklin, my buddy. Yes, I know Tamisha. Childhood friends and all. And trust me, my dad did fool with everybody's children. So for her to say that, I know they were cool. And then uh she said, ma'am, Tamisha said, ma'am, you are on it. Thank you for sharing and being transparent. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I'm like, we got to be as believers, even through every situation that we go through. I know that you talked that your business deals with grief, your business deals with relationships. And one thing that you said in your bio that really stood out to me was that you deal with tough love.
Ooh,
Explain
Jesus.
what tough love means.
Tough love. If I'm sure my clients could probably say sometime I just don't want to call you because I know you're gonna tell me the truth. Well, what it means is if you call me wanting to be cuddled and petted, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to snatch you out of your pity party, which is what I'm going to do, and actually require you to do something and take some steps. You ain't got to run today, but you're going to get up. I don't want to hear nothing about you can't get up out of the bed. I don't want to hear nothing about you can't eat. All of those things are a no. A no, because those to me do not say you love yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
that cannot happen if you're telling me that you want to live. That can't happen. Is
Nope.
so at a point, I am telling you, you have no room for that. You know how some people say, oh, well, I'm going to give you a week to lay in the bed, or I'm going to give you this many days to not eat. No, I'm not going to give you any, because I'm not going to let you waste not one day that God has left you here to live. I'm not that person. I'm not going to tell you that. So if you, even if you sign up for my 365 days of text messages, I'm telling you, you're going to get up and do something. Every day there is a call to action in there. We are stepping and we moving. So I am telling you that I'm not going to play games, because thriving is not about playing games. Survival is playing games. Survival is just sitting back in the cut waiting for a piece of meat to come to you. That's what surviving is. These people out in the woods playing survival. They out there in the dark, in the naked, trying to wait for something to come to them. No, thrivers are in the daylight on the beach catching their food, preparing it so they don't have to survive. That means I got a hole already dug with some meat prepared. I already got a cave, so at nighttime when it rains and it get cold, I'm not looking foolish out here. That's what thriving is. That means I am prepared when the grief hits me. I have something to do. I know what to do to move forward. And that's what it means. Don't tell me you angry. Okay, angry at what? What does that look like? And then I'm going to tell you, this is what you really going through. It ain't about anger. It's about you upset that you didn't get your way. And I'm
Exactly.
sorry, God is not going to give you your way today. So that if everybody, we all upset with God, but God ain't going to give us our way today. So if we waiting for God to be our genie and write our wish list, I mean, I got a list now. Don't you get me wrong that I like for God to provide. But he said it ain't today. It ain't in my time. It ain't in my will. Because I mean, I would like to go back and say, you know what, on this day at this time, can we really take that diagnosis back? And can you give it to me on another day when I got a little bit more money to handle, a little less stress, so I can deal with that, and then we can be in a different place. And he'll say, no.
Exactly. Wow. 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 Tamisha said, put while fake actions put on the whole armor. I know that's right. And then Tamisha said, I'm about to run out this car.
Don't run out the car now, not in the middle of the road. Now we can't have no accidents.
I know that's right. And then Charlene said, maintaining, not striving. I know that's we got to do them both. We have to do them both because we have got to set our minds of where we need to be. And I'm not gonna tell you, and I'm with you on that because I'm the one, okay, because I'm the minister that would go to the hospital and I'm like, how long are we supposed to stay? Because I don't feel comfortable with sitting in that situation. So how long do you, let's say, quote unquote, comfort somebody, especially if you get called or you're there when they first lose that loved one? How long? How do you do that?
Um, I comfort people all 365 days. It's just a hard, tight kind of comforting them. It's just not the kind that most people want. They're not going to walk into. Uh, um, I'm the kind of coach is the same kind of mama I was. You hurt. Let's address your hurt. Let's fix
Hmm.
it, and now let's get up.
I like it.
Yes, you're hurt. Let's fix it. Now let's get up. Because even in the hospital, I'll cry with you because that's what we need to do to get out. I'm not gonna tell nobody not to cry. If you need to cry for a whole year, I'm gonna cry with you, but you tell me what the tears are about.
Hmm. Hmm.
Tell me what the tears are about. There is an emotion behind the tears. There is something that is pushing these tears out. And that's the only thing that I want to address. I want to address what's behind it. I'm not going to be the person, let's sit here and bust open a whole box of tissues and then we don't even know what happened. That's just like dealing with somebody bleeding. You put pressure on it, you stop the bleeding, but you hadn't taken them to surgery so that it don't come again. Otherwise, it's going to rupture again. They're still going to die. So I don't want somebody to die of heartbreak on my watch. How about that? Nobody's dying of heartbreak on my watch.
I know that's right. Amelia said, "We shall live and not die, regardless of feelings." Yes, indeed. And she also said that we have to be sensitive to the situations, and and I do believe that we are, but it's all about how you are sensitive to it. Because I know, like, I'm the type that I don't want you. When I experience loss, I don't like people touching me, and and my thing, if you're being sensitive to it, if somebody says, "Don't touch me, give me some space," don't touch them. Because you know how you got some people that just rush in, they got to hug you, rush in, they got to pat you, and you like, I just can't handle that. So how do we tell people to respect that space?
Well, one thing, each of us have our own little boundaries and different things that we need in space. Like, I'm the person who's going to go silent on you for a little while when something is bothering me. I don't need you to
Mhm.
keep asking me 50 million questions, or so I need that moment of silence so it can marinate in my mind. So the thing is, I think as believers, if we call ourselves true comforters, as we are supposed to be, if we're calling ourselves to be comforters, and that's not an assignment for everybody. Now, don't get me wrong, everybody is not a comforter because some of us don't know how to have relationships with people. We don't care about how people feel, and I do care about how people feel. I'm very in tune to when somebody is talking to me, how to deal with them without cutting them up further than they already are. Nobody wants to be hurt additionally. But the thing is, we have to be in tune to each person has to be different. I'm not going to be like, okay, all my clients the same. I can say all the same thing to all of them. No, I cannot. No, because some of them, that may cause them to actually commit suicide. It might press somebody just a little bit too far, you know, or I might say be angry today without any, thing around it. And they say, well, I might go to work and shoot everybody up today. That sounds like a be angry. So there has to be some very cautious, we have to be responsible as Christians. We
Mhm.
have to be in tune to definitely each individual that we are handling, like the different vessel that they are. Everybody not a plate, everybody not a cup, everybody not a bowl. And we have to ask God, okay, how do I handle this vessel that you have put right in front of me now? And if we ask those questions, God will answer. God will answer. I mean, there has never been a time that I have had a call with somebody and they have said, "Whoo, my Lord, she broke me." No, what they say is, you've helped me pick up some pieces so I can start putting myself back together again. And that's the goal. Okay, you were a bowl, but now we can return you into a cup because God needs you to serve in a different way. So,
And
and that's the realization that I am helping you pick up the pieces. My job is not to come shatter you more. And that's what we have to be in tune when we say we are God's children. We have to treat each other with love. We have to treat each other with empathy. And we really have to be sensitive to not putting our own emotions and our own feelings off on people. Because like you say, that zone might not be your zone. So if it's not your zone, let me get up out of this hospital real quick because at some point I'm gonna be like, you need to stop all this hollering and stop all. Okay, that's when you know
yeah, that's
that's when you know you have to take a breath, take a space. But see, for me, I can let you holler, 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 holler. Because at some point, you're going to get tired of my spirit just sitting there quiet. You're going to be like, what is wrong with this lady? I need to figure out what's wrong with her because she ain't saying nothing. She's just sitting here. And then eventually, we can start having a conversation. And that's why I said sometimes you just have to sit back and let them get out what it is they need to, which is the burden. Like you say, the person at the attention seeker at the funeral, or the person who has just been what you feel like who's been in that loss too long. And that's who we want to get unstuck from that loss because they on a roller coaster and they don't even know it. They're on a roller coaster. They have some high moments. They got some moments they being flipped over. They got some moments where they actually look happy because they up at the top screaming. But most of the time, their life is just madness because they have not gotten off of that emotional ride.
most definitely, most definitely. Well, you know what, Miss Courtney, we have exhausted all of our time.
Oh
This conversation has been wonderful. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I'm going to give you the last couple of minutes, and I want you to tell everybody how to contact you, what you got going on, if they want to use your services, what can they do if they need you
no. Okay.
doing their brief.
Well, I'm going to tell you the two freeways, and then beyond that, we can get beyond that if you need to. Number one is I told you about the 365 days of thriving. All you have to do is text me at 678-718-5019 and just text me thrive. And that was 678-718-5019 because we all going to thrive. That's 365 days. You get a text message every day and you can talk to me. So it's almost like free phone coaching. And I just began with I Am Her International, and we are doing a platform. It's called Shifting Saturday. It's going to be the first Saturday. So March 7th is going to be the first day, and it's going to be shifting through grief
Mm.
beyond the loss because we're getting people beyond the loss. So we're shifting through this grief together. And like someone said, it's a mindset. So we're going to put our gauges together. We're going to shift through it. And at the end of the year, we're going to have navigated to thriving. So y'all got 10 months, 10 free months for every first Saturday. And the rest of this year, if you join my text group, and that was 678-718-5019. I remember my own phone number. So just text me. It's a real live number. So we actually talk during the day. You can text me something if you're struggling during the night, and then I send you something back, how to get through it, talk about it, and that's how we deal with it. So those are the free ways to connect with me. And then beyond that, we can talk about something else if you need more programs.
Awesome. So how can they find you? Can they find you on social media if they want to just
Ooh,
reach out?
Yes, yes, yes. If you want my personal page, that's Cortne Lee Smith. If you want my business page, it's the Relationship Service Station. And of
I
course,
love
I am on Instagram as the Master Relationship Mechanic. And so I have my little TV show coming back in March as well. So that'll be every Saturday mornings, new day, new time.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You have just been an awesome guest. You have shared so much knowledge with our listeners. And what I will ask you to do is that once we get off, go back through the comments and just type in the text number so they can have it
Oh,
available
yes,
to
yes.
them. And we can definitely get that out, y'all, because I am so excited about this. And because a lot of times we just don't know how to deal with grief, especially when, like you stated, you've lost a loved one, you've lost somebody that you were married to, and then to come back and marry somebody, that's a whole nother show. And marry somebody that lost their spouse too
Yeah,
to death. So
yeah, that's a whole nother show.
we want to put that together later because I don't know if I can handle all that tonight. So, well, all right, guys, it's been fun. It's been real. Love you to life. Peace.
Yes, thank you.